Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. It's Professor Tom here in my car. Maybe some of you have been wondering what have I been doing since the class got started. The last time you saw me, I think, was in that video at my kid's playhouse. Well, one thing I've been doing is growing facial hair. I've been working on that for a while. The other thing I've been doing is really enjoying tracking with you throughout the class this semester here, quarter, I guess it is. And we're week 9. And I just had a few things to share with you. I thought I would do it from the car in the Starbucks parking lot before I go inside there and get a cup of coffee and start taking on the day. One of the reasons that I'm recording this video in my car is because I just got off the phone with a 43-year-old mom of a middle school student, and we were having a conversation about relational ministry with her son. It was really, really fascinating for a couple of reasons. One is because, you know, in this class, we just had a little unit on contact work, going out to where kids are, making relational connections to kids who might not ordinarily come to an event or feel invited or connected to something that, you know, a church might be doing, even for them, even an outreach or a welcoming event. Now, why this conversation is significant with this mom is that I have known her since she was 15 years old. She was a part of the youth group where I worked in my early days of youth ministry, and she was also involved in Young Life, where I was volunteering back in the early 90s. And she talked so much about how impactful it was that us, the youth workers connected to her life, went to where she was. That we went to soccer games that she played in, that we met for breakfast before school. Those were really, really impactful things for her. In fact, she said, I feel like it's one of the reasons why I'm more spiritually mature at this point in my life, because of the impact of those relationships. And so I tell you that for this reason. A number of you have resonated with the idea that I said in the lecture that contact work sometimes doesn't seem to have an immediate payout. You're building relationships over time, and that doesn't always translate into measurable growth in ministry, right? And that's true. It really is. But the thing that I want to say is, here's a mom who has a son, a middle school son, who's having trouble connecting to the youth group because he's not a big group kind of kid. And she's longing for an adult to come into her life just to spend time with him, build a relationship with him, go to where he is, because he's not going to probably want to go otherwise, because she remembers the impact of it. So I'm telling you, sometimes for you, the payout is not measurable in relational ministry, in incarnational ministry, but the impact is really significant. So again, if I can convince you or persuade you to embrace that idea of going to uncomfortable places, maybe even potentially awkward places, to make contact with kids, especially ones who just ordinarily would not come to an event, don't give up on that idea. Young adolescents especially are making interpretive assumptions about what ministry is based on the way that we do things. And I can assure you that there are a number of young kids, especially middle school age kids, who don't think ministry is for them, or that youth group is for them, or that, you know, Young Life Club is for them, because no one's making the relational initiation, which is not at all our intent. We do want to invite every kind of kid, right? That's what we're about. But it's surprising in their own schema that they interpret because no one is the relational initiator for me, that it's not for me. So again, you know, if you remember back to the segment on middle school ministry, early adolescence, we said we need to be the relational initiators, because they're not going to think that it really is for them. So again, just a little case in point in my conversation with this 43-year-old mom today. One other thing I'm going to pass on to you too, I also included in the module for, I think it was week 8, I either have it in week 8 or week 9, I should look, but I put something called the 40 developmental assets. And these come from the Search Institute. These are more or less research-based assets, and they feel like adolescents need to have a large number of those in order to successfully transition into adulthood. Now, they're not specifically ministry assets. They're not necessarily things that we would think about when we're creating ministry. But I included them because I feel like it's great if we really are thinking holistically about ministry, not just programmatically what we do in our particular ministry space, but what are the range of needs that adolescents have in order to access social capital, relational capital, spiritual capital, so that they become formed adults who are followers of Jesus. We need to be aware of all the things that they need. And so I put that there for you. If you work in ministry in an under-resourced community or an under-resourced culture, you might already be aware of the Search Institute's 40 developmental assets, because you tend to think in those kind of categories anyway. In suburbia, we don't think about them nearly enough, but it is important at this stage of our culture and our society in a post-Christian era to take seriously the fact that in an era that really is defined by systemic abandonment, we've talked about, it really is important to think broadly and holistically about what our responsibility is in ministry. So I'm not saying that you've got to find all 40 assets for every adolescent that you know. I just want you to be aware of the needs that they have so that you can be thinking, do I have the option or opportunity to connect some of these other assets I see in my community with the kids that I know? You might be a bridge builder between kids and those assets. The other thing to bear in mind too is I think no matter what you do in ministry, it would be really important for you to think, I'm only contributing a small slice to the enormous pie of formation in their lives. As significant as you might be, and again, maybe in ways that you're making a significant contribution that you don't even realize, like that conversation I had with that mom today. You're still only making one slice of a contribution to them. So again, with great humility, we want to bear that in mind. We want to do it well, but we also want to be well aware of too the other needs that they might have, so that we can just be on the lookout for how we might make those connections and those bridges there for them. Okay, so we're in week 9. We are really approaching the finish line to the course. I feel like you guys have great momentum in what you're doing. I know you're probably getting a little worn down, but I do want to encourage you to look ahead to the finish line. Don't give up. Run through the tape, as we say in track and field, all the way to the finish line. Please reach out to me and let me know how I can help you with that. And if you would like for us to schedule something like a live Blue Jeans session where we can have a video conference to talk through any questions about the final projects or final exam, I'm happy to do that in the early part of week 10. So shoot me an email or a message through the questions function in Canvas, and I'll respond for sure, and we'll figure that out, set it up, okay? Have a great week, everybody.